Now, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning again. As I've always said, there's some young faces. I'm very happy to see that. This is the Aruba Post Corona New Normal Zoom presentation organized by the University of Aruba, hosted by the Center for Lifelong Learning. This is our fourth topic. We've had three very interesting topics up until now, and I hope that you will enjoy this one as well. Before we start, and I keep on saying this each time, but it's necessary to ensure a smoothly presentation. I would like for you to have your microphones on mute during the entire presentation. All your questions can be submitted via the chat box, and that will be answered at the end of the presentation. So feel free during the presentation to just keep on posting your questions. During the presentation, you will see the slides big, but at the end, please keep to speaker view that you can have a better view of the speaker. And lastly, we all know that the internet is an unstable factor, so be patient should something happen that the internet connection falls out. I would advise you to wait until it reconnects, and if anything, you can click on the link that you received to attend this presentation. So today, topic number 4, the title is Shifting from Consumption to Production Society in the Short Term to Build a Resilient Local Economy. All of these topics during the Zoom presentation is taken from the Donut Economic Framework, and as you could have seen on the video with the invitation, it's quite an extensive one. It's one that has existed for some years now, but is looking at Aruba from the new Aruba Post Corona in a different way. So finally, our speaker, Ernie, has been with us last week, but in a total different context, and we were looking at climate and healthy indoor climate. Today, he still remains a holistic engineer. He is also an inventor and entrepreneur who has successfully implemented a low investment, high yield business model for creating added value through agriculture and food processing, assembly and applied technology. He has lived all over the world, Ernie. He has lived and conducted business in South America, the Caribbean, Europe, China, and currently the USA, where he is currently living and therefore zooming in with us, Ernie. He maintains, most importantly, very close ties with the island and therefore is willing to contribute with sharing his knowledge on this interesting topic. Ernie, the Zoom is all yours.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for introducing me. And I would like also to thank everyone here. And I want to wish you also a good presentation. And I want to welcome you once again. As Deborah said, we're going to talk about shifting Aruba from a consumer-based economy to, give me 1 second. Yeah, we're gonna shift Aruba from a consumer-based economy to a production economy, this in the post-corona period. First of all, I want to set the stage for this presentation. What I would like to do is to let you see that this is not only sharing of mine, but my intention is to inspire you of taking actions right now. Taking actions and in your mind already begin to produce products and products that are creating added value for Aruba. So actually, we have to change and shift our mindset. Shifting our mindset and empowering ourselves to start developing a production-oriented Aruba. That is very important. Suddenly, there was a ban, and there was COVID. The world actually stopped, and also Aruba stopped. And the old normal Aruba that was largely consumption-oriented is not there anymore. And as it was, the economy that was based on solely tourism is not there anymore. Now we have a reset that we call COVID. And this reset need to help to build the new normal, a more sustainable, more diverse, and resilient Aruba. We have to do that, and we have to build Aruba back, better, and be bold about it. This is what I call the 4 B's.
There
is a huge opportunity here. This reset button gives us the opportunity for new chances. A chance to reframe this COVID crisis not as a problem, but more as a huge opportunity to rebuild a more sustainable and diverse and resilient Aruba. There is a window of opportunity.
Keep your microphone muted.
And this window of opportunity gives us a lot of options. There is one thing I want to mention. One of my quotes, if you can dream it, you can definitely build it. This is the window that I saw. I was only 8 to 10 years old, and I was living in Suriname at that time. And I was looking through that window of opportunity, and on the other side, I saw the USA, the Caribbean, Latin America, the Netherlands, Europe. And what I saw is raw material moving from Suriname to Europe, to the Netherlands. And we get money, but we were importing stuff from these countries. But now, after a couple of years, I see things a little bit different. And what do I see for Aruba? I see Aruba that's going to build back better in a bold way by importing raw materials. It can be agriculture products, parts, wood, everything. Give it added value. And then after giving it the added value, export these products through that window of opportunities and getting back this dollars and euros. Think about it. Let this sink a little bit in your heart and imagine an Aruba that import only raw materials, give these raw materials or parts an added value. Partly is going of the products is going to the local market, and a majority of these products are being exported. Think about this, what this can mean for Aruba. This is what we call a more resilient, diverse Aruba. Keep this slide in your mind. I have a reason why I talk a little bit longer about this one. Let me look at some successful countries. One of the countries is the Netherlands. It's a small, tiny country, as you know, but this is what they are doing. What is their secret and what is their formula? One important thing, they are the master of creating added value. Let's look at another country, a huge one, China. What do? The same thing, trade, international services, agriculture, and so on. They are also the master in creating added value. But on top of that, they are the grand master in assembly. Let me tell you now, later in this presentation, you're going to understand why. You're going to see why they are feeding the whole world. Another country is El Hierro. This is only a small, tiny country. It's in the Canary Islands of Spain. They also have a lot of things that they are doing, and their secret is also creating added value. And what they do on top of that, they are the masters in sustainability. Let's look at them a little bit closer. What can we learn? You can see it's a very rocky island. And you can also see it's in the water, a lot of water around the island, only small island. What can we learn? Well, it is a small rocky island, only 15,000 people. They transformed the island from a small tourism island, a little bit of tourism, to a very diverse economy with boosting tourism, agriculture, feedstock, and a lot of other things, food processing, and so on. They are now 80 to 100% of the grid. They have available water around the island for the farmers. They transform their economy, and now they give added value to a lot of agriculture products. And what is important, they shifting now from all natural products. And one thing that they do, they understand that creating added value is the way to go. Let's look at some of their products. I want to ask your attention for the banana tree at the left. I call it a tree. It's more than 1.5 inch wide, the trunk. I have not seen that before. And look at the bananas, 4 to 5 feet high on a dry island, smaller than Aruba. It's not raining there. Almost a lot of months it's not raining. Look at the bananas. I've never seen them in Suriname, a banana exporting country. I've never seen them this big. Look at the middle picture. There we see pineapples. These pineapples are being processed and exported. On the right, you can see the wine factory. They are making wine. They're exporting wine for a small, tiny island. Here you can see a pond, and you say, hey, what is that? Yeah, it's a pond. When there is wind, on the right you can see the wind turbines. When there is wind, the pumping of water to this high pond in the mountains. And when there is little or no wind, they let the water come down through pipes, through turbines, and generating electricity. That is their secret. Lessons learned from El Hierro. What we see in El Hierro is that you have to involve the community. That is one of the strengths. What is also important, that you don't have to be rich on raw material. You need to have a bold vision, and you need to believe in the future, believe in what you're doing. You need to know that it is good and it will be better. What is important also, you have to go back to basic. You are an upcoming country. You don't have to look for high-class technology. Go back to basic and start building from there. What is also important is that they understand that they have to give added value, because the raw materials the value is not that high. But if you add value, you can sell it 10 times more expensive. So what they also did is total system thinking. It is a complete circular process, a circular economy. And what they did, they shifted from a consumption-based, import-based economy. They shifted their mindset. Remember this word, mindset. They shifted the mindset to a production and export-oriented mindset, and that is key. Okay, what does it mean for Aruba? How can we make this shift in Aruba to go to a production mindset, especially now in the post-corona new normal? What is the plan and what is the approach? You need a guide, you need a plan. If you don't have a plan, you don't know what is the approach, well, you will not end up far. But if you have a plan and you have approach, you have something. So let me introduce to you the low investment, high yield business model. This is something special for me. And as I look at it, my face is shining. Why? I have been doing this and using this for more than 30 years. It is a proven strategy. This business model really works. And I started 25, 30 years ago with this model, and I'm going to explain it to you in a couple of seconds. But what I noticed is when I start moving around in the world, I noticed that a lot of countries are using this strategy, this business model, but I had no name for it. There was no name for it. So I I gave it a name, low investment, high yield business model. Okay, it comes to this. You invest because you are a country that do not have a lot of millions to invest in high-tech computerized production machines. So you go back to basic technology and you build machines yourself. You invent machines and you are creative. You use the sun and use everything at your disposal. Everything you have, you use everything, and then you do a little investment, and this is what you get out of your investment. This is the top triangle. That is what you get. This was actually your investment, and this is the added value. So what is the priority here in the low investment, high yield business model? The priorities are, first priority, create added value. The second priority, create added value. And guess what? What is the third priority? Yes, you know what the third priority is. Create added value. And this is what is working. It worked for a lot of countries. But let me take you now to the 4 B's. What are some focus areas for Aruba? We can look at production and assembly and manufacturing. This is an important one. Another important one is food processing and agriculture. We can start with this like yesterday. We can have products in Aruba by tomorrow or 2 days from now. And we can have them processed 5 days from now. And we can have them packaged 10 days from now. So what is the problem? I see only opportunities. Remember the window of opportunity, right? The next one, local and international services. We can do a lot of international services. Here in the US, I call a lot to call centers. They are not in the States. They are in other countries like the Philippines. And when I ask these guys, where are you calling from? Because I heard the accent. I said, from the Philippines. There are a lot of things we can do with telecommunication, internet, finance. But let me just mention as hospitality. We know that our tourism took a blow, and we know it will come back. Even if we produce other things, we need to honor our hospitality. We need to honor tourism. But one thing that we need to know also, those people who know what's going on, the CEO of Boeing, all those CEOs from airline companies, they said already it's not likely that the coming months they will be having a lot of international flights. And the CEO of Boeing even mentioned it might take 3 to 5 years before their business can recover. Okay, let's take it to the next one. So it's going to recover, but it will take some time. Let's go to trade and regional and international business. There's a huge opportunity also. And also food processing and farming. Okay, let me look at you. Let me show you now what we can do in Aruba. What we have to do is we need to think differently. We need to go and think without the box. What we need is a bold new vision. We need a bold new action plan, and we need bold new laser-focused actions. Some of these, let me show you some of these low investment, high yield projects that has real potential for Aruba. We're going to look at food processing and sustainable agriculture. We're going to look at assembly, production plant, and technical products. And we're going to look at assembly of renewable energy products. What do they have in common? All of them is about added value. Okay. I have a call to action. Later on, at the end of my presentation, I will let you know what it is, and I have a present also. I have a gift. Let's now look at what Aruba can do. For example, agriculture. We can import the products, we process it, we package it. Part of it is for the local market, part of it is for the import, for the export. This can be done like tomorrow. The same for spices, vegetables, and fruit. We are doing this already. We are importing this, but let me import and process them now. We can do sun-dried, candied, pickles, and so on. And we can use part of it for the local market and part for export. Another option in agriculture and food processing is rice, yucca, grains, and we can make snacks, corns, the same thing for the local market and for export. And there are other options. But let me tell you about this one. Here is where the low investment, high yield business model was born. Pay close attention to this one. About 30 years ago, I was the technical manager and marketing manager of this company, Fernandez in Suriname. It was time of the revolution. Just like now, there was no foreign currency. Just like in Aruba now, critical with foreign currency, and we could not import a thing. But we need to proceed. We bought one machine, and we were making extruded cheese balls. The plan was there to make extruded cheese balls and chocolate balls. We bought only one machine for about 400,000, and we built the other machine of the production line. One thing that the total investment, about 500,000. We focus on high quality package because we wanted to export and we want a good product for the local market, and also on the quality of the product. There was no money to import corn, so we mixed corn with rice and we had a good product. Next thing what we did, we focused on long-term shelf life of the product. And what happened after the marketing campaign is that 6 months, within 6 months, we earned our money back, the money that we invested in the factory. And now, 25 years from now, with that strategy, the company is still making millions, a lot of millions every year. Okay, let's now look at another options for Aruba. We can assemble refrigerators, for example. This is the end product. You only need a couple of parts. You need a body, you need a compressor, a condenser, and a couple of other parts. This is the end product for local market and for export. What's happening here is you add value. Other options are of assembly, are mopeds, motorcycles, bikes, and so on. So let me show you what it looks like in real time. This is a sample of a factory in China. Pay close attention and look at all the pictures. You don't see a conveyor belt. You don't see automation. None of it. It's a no or low automated refrigeration and freezer factory. You can see they are working with simple things. The man you see here in the back is welding all the frames together, and they are using the body, and at the end you can see the foam they are putting in, and at the end you have a refrigerator like this. Let me tell you, this factory is doing about between 200 and 300 containers a year. Low investment, high yield. This is another example. This is an example of a PV. What you have with a PV is only a couple of layers, and you put it together, the electrical connection, and there you go. There is an end product for the local market and for export. This is another product, a little bit higher in technology. This is one of my patents. This one we designed for my company at that time in the Netherlands. And this was part of a bigger project to start producing heat pumps and exporting them to the rest of Europe and the US. I went to China to make a prototype. It was built successfully and tested successfully. As you can see on the next slide, you can see it here on the right. Here you have the drawing, and here you have the finished product. But what happened is at the end, when we finished the project, China, the factory, has my product ready already with a user's guide and start selling my product in Europe. That was a drawback because we invested a lot of money, but we could not sell our products anymore, and the factory didn't proceed anymore. But one thing I learned from this, you're gonna get drawback when you think bold and you think big, but don't let that hold you down. Go and proceed with your things and other things. So on the left, you can see two other products that I invented, and we built the prototypes also. Here you can see on the right, here you can see a refrigerator with a heat pump and so on. It is doing 3 functions, but it's only to let you know that this is not really high tech. It seems complicated, but it isn't. And it is a low investment, high yield model. Let's look at the PV panel factory, how it looks like, low investment, high yield. We don't have a lot of, as you can see as the pictures, it's semi-automatic. That means you don't have a lot of computerized machines putting those things together. This is what this is doing. This line here is doing magic. On here at the end, the PV panels are put together with glass, back sheet, and all those cells, and it's welded together here in this machine here, and then it's cooled down. And these are the panels that are coming out of the machine. This is a half product. For example, if Aruba has a factory like this, we can ship this half products, and somebody else in Jamaica can put the framing on it, or we can do both, ship the half product, and also putting the framing on it and the electrical connection. And then we ship containers of finished PV panels to the rest of the Caribbean. Do you know that the average kilowatt hour price in the Caribbean is about 32 cents? It's a lot of money. So let me proceed with this one. Let me go to the next slide. Here is in China also. This is a more high-end product too. But when I entered this factory, here you can see me entering a factory with the owner of the factory. But look at this one. This is a very good one. If you look at these pictures, you do not see any type of automation. You can see only a couple of machines with red tanks in it. And when I entered the factory with the owner, he told me, mind you, I've seen the end product a week ago when I was in a trade fair in Frankfurt. I talked to the owner and I saw the end product. So I thought, Jesus, that's a marvelous product. I want to see the factory. That should be highly automated and so on. When I arrived in this factory, I talking to the owner. He told me he has 2 production lines. And I looked around, I could not find them because in my European brain, I was looking for automation, machines, computerized things, conveyor belts. And then he pointed at the machines and he said, this is my first production line. And then he pointed at the other one. This is my second production line. And when I paid attention, I saw on every machine, one Chinese guy was working. And then I understood that is the production line. You know what this company was doing? 340 foot containers a year. Mind you, in a 20-foot containers, about 60 of these machines fits. So probably a 120 to 130 of this machine will go in 40 foot. And each machine is worth $4,000. We can do this in Aruba because in Aruba, we have all the skills, we have all the knowledge, but we are doing it, but we call it maintenance. We are changing condensers, we are changing compressors. The Chinese, they changed it. They switched to a production mindset. The same knowledge they use to weld the compressor in a machine, make products, and ship those machines in containers to the rest of the world. This is how China transformed within 1 generation to a poor country to a wealthy country with the low investment. You don't see any computer automation here, only low investment, high yield. Let me take you to my final note. There is one thing that's important. We have to shift from a consumption to a production society. It is a must, and it is doable. What we need is a proven model, proven strategy, the low investment, high yield strategy that a lot of upcoming countries use, including China, has proved its value. And I've been using it for more than 30 years too. What we need a different type of thinking. We need to think more diverse. We need to think without the box. I had a call to action for you. And we have to make the shift. Yes, let's make the shift. I have a free gift here for you. This is to stimulate you. But before I tell you what the gift is, let me tell you what I have on my shelf. I have on my shelf a 20 megawatt PV panel factory that I prepared about 1.5 years ago for Curacao. We didn't implement that project, but it's still on the shelf. Another project that I also have on the shelf that I'm working on right now here for the USA, it's a food production and snack processing factory that is going to give added value and products for the market in the US and internationally. Now I want to know what you have on the shelf. What are you thinking of? How can you help to build Aruba back better in a both way? So that's why I have this free gift. And the free gift is I'm going to give 2 free 1-hour consultancy sessions for different projects. The projects need to be production oriented. They need to be bold and create added value, and they have to help to build Aruba back better. I would like to thank you all, and these are my contact information. Right now, we're going to switch to Q&A. If, by chance, I do not answer one of your questions, feel free to send me a mail. Be safe and stay well.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you for that very interesting presentation. Delighted, as always, that you shared your knowledge with us. And I would like to encourage people to think about that last question that you just posed. How can they, think of a product? I'm looking to go to the questions now as there is, because there were several questions. I myself had one, but as host, let me look through it and then get to you, Ernie. So I'll start with just the first one, which was more an observation. I think this person was saying is they had a problem with the wording for, Aruba does produce an important product, which is tourism. A product is an outcome of an output process. So we deliver service to tourism, meaning the service Aruba gives is a product. So that's an observation, a comment that was given. I don't know if you would like to say anything about that, Ernie?
Yeah, it is a good remark. Tourism is a product, but tourism is not a physical product. As you can see, I was talking about physical products that you can put in a container and ship it to the rest of the world, as Germany is doing, China is doing, the Netherlands is doing. That's why I mentioned these 2 or 3 countries. I'm talking about, they also have tourism, but they do understand that they need to produce. They need to move away from a consumption-oriented society or community to a production community. That's the reason why, and I do acknowledge, Aruba is an important product for Aruba tourism, but we see it more as services, as a service, hospitality service. So it is a product, but it's not a physical product as we know that in the rest or in the world. So that's why I was focusing on physical products to help us move Aruba to a more resilient and more diverse Aruba.
Okay, thank you. Another one, a bit of a long, short question. It is truly a low investment, and I can understand the lowering of costs by using your own hardware, but is it enough to balance off the manpower? So with that, they continue saying on Aruba, it is the engineers that are missing, and therefore imported engineers are still expensive. I still see higher investment than adding value will tip the balance to have higher yield over more than 5 years. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, if you follow I'd like to say something about it, because if I really go back in those 30 years, and I look at countries that I visit, all the countries that I move up very fast are using this technology. There are a lot of countries who did it. And I've looked at my own companies I started up. For example, look at Aruba. Let we all now look outside. What do we see? A lot of sun. What are we doing with the sun? You know how many megawatt we have, or how many joules, kilojoules we have outside right now? Okay, let's take the vegetables and the spices from Venezuela and Colombia, and we import it. You don't need technology for that. So you put it in the sun, it dries. And when it's dry, it's already exportable product. You put it in packages and you send it to the rest of the world, or you use it for your local market. So there's no high tech there. So you can step it up, do easy product, and you can do some other product like PV panels, not that difficult. I've seen more than 8 or 10 PV panel factories. I've been there. So it's not high tech. Making an air conditioning is only a plan. You need a plan and you need somebody to look at it. As we built our heat pumps, we built several heat pumps. We built them ourselves. They are changing condensers and compressors every day in Aruba. The technology is there. You can use it and call it service, but you can use it and make an end product and ship that technology. That's what I'm talking about. Changing and shifting the mindset. It's about changing and shifting our mindset to a production-based economy.
Now, you just took the words out of my mouth, Ernie, because that was just actually one of the questions, actually several questions that came. You said, you know, we have to work on the mindset of the Arubans. Someone gave the example of, you know, when political parties change, certain plans are not pursued that, you know, was started at the beginning. So mindset plays a very important role there. And I saw another comment indeed that a mindset change will need to be the start for the window of opportunity. What will be the best plan or steps for the plan to action? They say, I've seen cactus transformed into leather. We can also use our existing resources. Aloe has done this already, I believe. Aruba needs to recycle. We dump everything away. Even here, we need a mindset transformation. So mindset is the key here. Continue about that a bit more.
Mindset is key. I show you the factory of Fernandez where we make cheese balls. I'm gonna make a small sidestep and show you what mindset does. I was called by the owner of the company and asked me to make dry pepper, to ship dry pepper. What I did, I called in the several companies that we have and asked them if they have an old hot water boiler, a steam producing boiler. Think about it. I was looking for an old waste boiler. I changed that boiler, instead of making hot water, making hot air. And there you go. Within 2 months, 1.5 months, I was making yellow pepper. We were making yellow pepper, we were making green pepper, and we were exporting pepper to Europe and the US. That is mindset. There are no limitations. There is no box. There are only opportunities. Mindset is key. And there is that. Aruba has water. The sea is water. You just do this and you have potable water. We have the land. We have wind. We have a lot of sun. You know what you can produce? Give this to China. There are opportunities, a lot of opportunities. I've seen worse situations in China, in Colombia, in other countries. But if you see what these guys produce and export, hundreds of containers. Each company, and mind you, a lot of countries in China are not factories. They are assembling companies. Please think about it. Assembly. Don't forget that word. Assembly, putting things together. You don't need high-tech machines. Assemble. Fill containers, ship containers.
Yeah. I saw someone made a comment as well, export our water. I don't know what's your view on that. You know, was a...
I start smiling because people are working on production already. So I'm glad. I'm glad. So you can export water. But the first thing to do is what you mentioned, mindset.
Mindset.
You can export everything you don't even have. Has somebody there seen a banana tree in the Netherlands or a cocoa tree in the Netherlands? No, I have not seen it in 30 years in the Netherlands. But they are one of the biggest producers of coffee, of cocoa, of banana products, and so on. So it is about mindset. Use the raw material. You don't have it, go and get the raw material. Give it added value and ship your containers.
Yeah, and you know, someone just said, why look at why China? Look at Japan. Japan. There's a country without a lot of resources. So that's also, you know, something else. Another question that came is, can you advise a way of financing the start of production projects? So financing in Aruba is a bottleneck for entrepreneurs.
I know that financing is a bottleneck, and this is not a normal situation. Before I answer that question, I give the free sessions. 15th of June, I will select 2 of the projects that I will give that 1 free hour of consultancy. 15th of June. Let me give answer to your question. This is not a normal situation. This is a situation of crisis. I've been there. I've seen that, how to start up factories in a crisis situation. I've done that several times in 2000 something. But for Aruba, the government need to be bold. The government need to come in. You have 2 options. If you have $1 billion lying there, you can use that $1 billion for consumption, and maybe you will go a couple of months, but you can use that $1 billion, 20% of that $1 billion, to create production, both production capacity, export capacity, and the money, the other part of the $1 billion, you use for consumption, and part of it gonna generate foreign exchange for you, and that is key. You need to generate foreign exchange. Okay.
Thank you, Ernie. I mean, I had a question for myself, but I'll also, you mentioned on consumption.
Oh, sorry that I interrupt. There's one thing that I came in mind also. We need to stimulate small business, small entrepreneurship. We need to stimulate. That's the backbone of a society. In the US, that is carrying the US, small business. And also for Aruba, small business should be key.
And you know, someone, I'll skip one question first, because someone said, you know, small business, they said, I heard that Aruban banks are full of money stocked. Why not force them to invest? You know, if there's money, you know, it needs to invest.
Yep, there's a good one, because every business you do, you have to think about win, win, win. Take, for example, I saw you saw the PV panel factory. Let me give you a small example how banks can play a huge role in this one. The bank, for example, can say, okay, I finance your mortgage. Instead of 100,000, you have 110,000, for example. And then that 10,000, you can use to put PV panels on your roof. What's going to happen now? The bank, there is a PV panel factory. Now there is an option to start a PV panel factory. So that PV panel factory is going to give a lot of work and jobs to installers, to the guys who are coming from school. They're going to be small business installing, assembling, and then the bank going to make more money because they have now a higher mortgage of 120,000 or 110 or 120,000. So what you did, instead of having the money sitting in a bank, you put the money out, you are secured because the money is guaranteed because it's in the mortgage of the total house. So you know that that guy gonna pay you, and you stimulate a complete new business, and that is how to go for Aruba. The banks has money. You can do it with fruit. You can do it with rice. You can do it with chips. You can do it with, you name it.
Now, I think, people have gotten a clear view of that. There's still a question on the mindset, because I think, you've put people to think, and how, what are the steps to make this mind shift? Because it's easier said than done, I think. So
right.
Can you maybe give just a practical example on, making that first step in mind shifting?
Okay, I like going back to my youth. One of the things I heard always, and I want to give a little bit piece of advice, also teach your children that they can do everything, that they work hard enough and think hard enough. That is the lesson I gave to my son, and because that's the lesson I heard from my dad. And if you fall 10 times, you have to rise 11. So when I start building the pepper dryer for export, the first run was a failure. The second run was a failure. But the third run, we are making 100 kilo of dry pepper each day. And it's sold a couple of grams for $2-3 in the US. When I made the first biomass burner, the patented biomass burner, 3 or 5 runs were failures. In the end, you succeed. So what is mindset? Mindset is you have to program here that failure is part of your success. So you have to be convinced that in the end, you're gonna be successful. Whether you are a little boy or you are running a company or you are in a school, if you program here that it is doable, and don't forget, the policymakers, our government has to play a key role in this. They have to let people know that we're gonna do it. We did it before. When Lago left, Aruba was done. When Lago left, what did they do? They were creative. They put down a very robust tourism industry. Now is the time to put down a very robust production industry, assembly industry, and to build tourism back and better. But we need to diversify our economy. And the key is mindset.
Yeah, and I think you touched base. Education plays a very important key in that. And I think we live in a society where failure is often not accepted, but as long as you break those barriers and change the mindset, we will. There's another very interesting question which says, low investment sounds tempting, but how about the production cost? How can factories in Aruba cope with the high overhead and labor costs and compete in the global market space? This is a very interesting question to almost round up this presentation with.
Yeah, okay, I love these questions. Reason why, if you look at Europe, you look at America or other places, Germany, they are paying euros for every hour. So we are paying guilders, right? So let's say they pay the same amount, what is not the case. They pay a lot more euros for each hour of labor. So if I'm 60% or 70% compared in productivity compared with the Netherlands, still I have a positive balance. And if I need to start a company, what I did in the past, and I have a $2 million production line, and instead of that, I only invest 400,000 or 500,000, you can simply calculate that my position in the market is a lot better because I don't have a lot of automated machines. I don't have a high investment, so I can sell my product at a good price, and I can start competing with other countries. And that is the secret of India. That's the secret of China and also Colombia.
Okay. I saw some, but our utility costs are very highly, someone said. So, you know, that's where the factory also suffers from it. But
okay, I'm smiling again. I love that one. Utility costs are high. I just talk about PV panels and I talk about solar energy. It costs nothing. Nothing. Only a little investment. And every day, each one of the panels is 260 to 300 watt. You need 6 to 8 panels for your house, for example. What if you have a factory and you can harvest the sun? Let me give you a small example. I have been in a China factory that's making candy. They are sun drying their product 2.5 to 3 days. Bring it in and doing 200 containers each year, 240-foot container. If you bring the sun inside with a little bit of technology, what I've done in the past, I dry the same products in 8 hours. 8 hours. So if I can dry in 8 hours, the guy in China dries in 2 days. That means I can double and triple and quadruple my production by being smart and not putting it in the sun to dry for taking too long. I bring the sun inside in an enclosed environment. So I bring hot water inside and I make a small thing myself and I dry my products.
you know, sorry, finish, Ernie, finish.
So energy should not be bothering you. And I've been running between machines, under machines since I was a little boy because I came from a production and manufacturing family. My brothers has businesses, so I've seen how it works. So a lot of times the machine is not using a lot of energy. You have to use the machine smart and have to outsmart the machine to look for ways that you don't need to use the machine, right?
So someone said something and it triggered me. They said, you know, we have creativity, we need to be innovative, we have resources, sun and wind. And I thought, hey, you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation about El Hierro, and when you looked at the pictures, it looked quite similar. How did they become successful? Was it based on, you know, lots of investments from the European Union, Spain? But can you just share, seeing, you know, Aruba looks quite similar, what can we learn from them?
Okay. The most important thing, what I've learned is mindset. It is doable. There's one thing though. They got money to invest in the renewable energy project that I showed you. But one thing, the mindset has changed. They didn't have potable water. So the government understood that they need to facilitate those farmers. So the government made potable water out of the sea, desalination plant, and we're giving potable water to all the farmers on the island. Guess what happened? The mindset has changed. The farmers start to see opportunities. They start to grow bananas that are as high as I am, or higher. They start to grow pineapples. They start to export. They have cattle. Have you seen cattle? Cattle in a dry island. They are exporting beef. So it is doable. It is about mindset. So that is the most important thing, mindset, and the government has to facilitate. So what I learned from El Hierro, and I suggest people from Aruba and all small islands, just go to the internet and look at El Hierro. There's one important thing. I think a year alone, I have a couple of thousand pictures. And totally, I make more than 50,000 pictures in all the more than 100 factories I visited. The only reason why, if you see it, if you can dream it, you can build it. Aruba can build it better and bold.
Yeah. I was going to say that was my last question, but then I don't want to be an rude host. So these are the last two I'll say. One said production is only feasible if it occurs on a large scale. We've had many companies who've tried manufacturing but could not cope with the high quality standards and speed of production. And don't forget the strict quality controls and certifications required, which are very costly. These are required to penetrate the foreign market. Very interesting, good question. Can you say something about that?
It's a very good question. We know, and it was bothering me a little bit. Years ago, I think in the 80s, Curacao, Suriname, and a lot of upcoming countries were exporting rice and sugar to Europe. And they also had sugar, but they call it beet sugar. So the beet sugar could not compete with the sugar from Cuba and all the Suriname and all the countries here. So what happened? You got ISO 90, and you got all the certification they put in place. I was at that time in a factory in Curacao, helping them. I was working in another factory, running another factory, but I was helping them coping with that barrier, the ISO barrier. So it took some time to get your certification, but not all of the products need certification. A lot of countries are asking that. And what China did, China is taking care of that and get their products certified. But making products do not have to be expensive. If I look at my history, all the factories we made, if I look at the products I was making, I had a small factory making cashew nuts and peanuts, and those products in the late 70s were given to people on the ALM flight. If your product is good enough to be on an airliner, then you have a one quality product. That is doable in Aruba. Don't you worry. There are limitations. There are certification process. There are gonna come more certification process. The more we are, as upcoming countries gonna produce, the more barriers you're gonna get in the US and in Europe. But you know what? We become stronger. Every barrier you take, you become stronger. That's the reason that I'm not afraid to build any machine you put in front of me. I can build it. If I only see it, I can think it. I can build it. Aruba, look at the products, build them. The region is full of agriculture products, give added value, and export containers. That is what China's doing.
And on that note, I would just like to for you to answer the last question, because as you said, build it, sell it. And someone says, well, what if I've done all of this and there are no customers interested in my product? This is really a crucial question. So it's the last question, but what if we've done all of that and no one is interested?
That is part of the magic. I'm gonna tell these two people who get a 1 hour session with me, but I'm gonna give you a little bit an answer how you should go about this one. To have, I'm also, beside the technical guy, I'm a marketing specialist also. I've done marketing in the Netherlands and in companies. So one of the first things I start to do before I even build or make one product, I start going to supermarkets. I start going to pulse the market to look if there is a market. So a couple of years ago, and before we start making a product, I went to Aruba and I went to distributors and asked them, if I bring you this product, are you going to buy it? They said, yes, I want to import it. That was years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago. I went to Curacao. At that time, I was also busy with the other production factory for food. I went to Curacao. I went to the biggest supermarket there and 2 other ones. And I asked the owner, if I bring you this product. Are you going to buy it? I made a sample. I asked him, he tasted. He said, yes, when can you deliver? Last year, I went to one of the biggest supermarkets here in Florida. They have 1,200 huge supermarket. I let them taste my product. And I asked them, if I make this product, are you going to buy it? The only thing they asked me, Jesus, when can you deliver? So where is my problem? My problem is get the financing. Of our problem in Aruba, get the financing. Let those factories run. Let me help you guys. Let those factories run. And government, if somebody from the government is listening, please listen carefully. You have to facilitate. We need money to get the little guy going. We need to fill those containers because our tourism is important, but there are other things that are even as important. And if we are bold about this, we can have those containers be shipped. Start shipping containers in a couple of months. We are not talking years here. My first container or my first project that I made the snack factory, actually I filled a container within 2 months.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm talking about. The raw materials are there already. It's in Venezuela, it's in Colombia, it's in Guyana, it's there. You only have to ship it, give it added value. 3 weeks from the day, or 1 week, 2 weeks from the day that the raw material is in your country, it can be in packages. As simple as that.
Now, Ernie, with that, I would like to say thank you for that energetic presentation and I think very interesting Q&A. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation and that their questions were answered correctly. I would like to also give you guys a heads up for next week's Tuesday on the 26th. We will be having another Zoom presentation on Life Post Corona with Edward Erasmus, and it is Life and Commerce post the post-Corona era. So if you've been enjoying our series, I would definitely welcome you to join us next week. Please register via the website of the University of Aruba Center for Lifelong Learning, and I look forward to seeing you. I don't know, I see Ernie, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to add something. I'm going to have a handout, and in that handout, I'm going to give instruction how the 2 people can get my free of charge consultancy. Okay. This is something that I want to be bold. I want to help to build Aruba back better. Yeah. So work with me. That we do.
Yeah. Thank you for the closing sentence and words. And thank you all for taking time to be with us this hour. And we look forward to seeing you again. And have a pleasant afternoon. Thank you.